I'm going to make a little drawing after this painting by Frans Hals. And let's just begin. I'll start with the outlines, more or less. The nose. Usually I start with an eye, but for some reason the nose was the most eye-catching feature. And the other eye. And is it too much to the left now? I think so. Let's zoom in a little bit. His beard. And his ear here. His ear here. So now his face is more or less on the paper. And let's suggest something of his color, or what is it? And now I want to start with tonal values and so on, so I just start. Now I start with the eyes. I need to adjust my mechanical pencil a little bit. And I started the drawing very loosely, with loose pencil lines. And in that vein, I try to proceed. So the looseness becomes a bit of the character of the drawing, because when I look at his hair, it's also a bit wild. And it has a certain charm in that way. And I think that it's HB or 2B or so, the hardness of the pencil in this mechanical pencil. So I'm not sure. But when you are drawing, you can either use HB or 2B. 4B is really soft, I think. But I should try that soon. And as I proceed with this drawing, I can add accentuations, which makes it a bit more accurate, more precise in a certain way. Because when you have a certain base layer of the drawing, you can carefully add accentuations later. I think that's more or less how Frans Hals worked as well. First he added, or he painted, let's say, the painting with the colors melting into each other, or melting, combining very smoothly, and later on he added the more the characteristics of the painter. He said, het kennelijke van de schilder. How do you translate that into English? The typical aspects of the painter. One could call it character or something, but he added looser accentuations later on in the painting, after creating a certain base layer, or not really an underpainting, I think, but a sort of basic painting in forms that were quite smoothly going into each other, transitioning into each other, and later on he made it livelier by adding accentuations everywhere, I think. Well, everywhere. He painted hair differently than skin and so on, so I want to be careful in how I describe that, but that's his way of working, I think. I like the looseness of this, and as I go along I try to give it more definition. So now I can add an accentuation there, for example. Now I want to add some definition to his face. There are certain features here. His cheeks and underneath his eyes, the eye bags, or what do you call them? And I try to maintain that loose approach. Even as if I proceed, I want to stay in that character, keep that character alive. But now let's carefully add tonal values. Did I go too far here? I'm not sure. And now there are several areas that I want to work on. This cheek area, for example. Maybe I need a face in which I carefully work on this drawing. So on the one hand, I have the tendency to keep on drawing in the way that I started it. And on the other hand, I see that it needs some careful consideration in how tonal values are placed, for example. So maybe it's better also, that's what I'm doing now, to take it a little bit slower and to carefully make this a better drawing than it is now. But by doing that, there is the danger of losing something of the energy by which the drawing was started. So on the one hand, you need to slow down sometimes to carefully work on the drawing to make it a better drawing, and sometimes you have the tendency to just go back to the way that you started it. Maybe I should make a drawing with only wild gestures and see how it turns out. From start to finish, wild gestures. And now let's see if I can make that color a bit convincing in my drawing. So I need to add accentuations. I zoom out a little bit so you can see it better. But you have this color here with the pattern. I remember watching it one of the very first times I went to the Rijksmuseum and marveling at how Hals painted that color. I was really impressed. It was one of the first times that I went there. But seeing such a painting in real life adds much to the experience. When you know that painting and you see it in real life, then you wonder how did he do it sometimes, and then you see how he did do it, and it blows your mind. In the case of Frans Hals, one of the greatest virtuoso painters ever. The sharpness and the virtuosity combined is unbelievable in what he did. So now I just add some accentuations here and there to suggest this lace. What is it? And now I have worked on the drawing, and now I feel free again to add accentuations of all kinds to make this a livelier drawing. and the shadow part needs some more definition. Sometimes you start a drawing and you draw something in the shadow, for example, but as you proceed you make this darker, and as it happens, a lot of details can vanish by making everything darker. So sometimes you have to go back to that area to work on it again. So how, I add a tonal value, I make it darker, and by doing that it's possible that this flattens out, so to speak. It becomes too homogeneous, one area of tonal value, and then you need to add certain details again, or go back to it and see what you can do. Or maybe that area has been waiting to work on until it was at the right tonal value. That only at the right tonal value you see what you have to do there. It's also possible. But I'm starting to reach a point now that I think, how much shall I do from here on? Because it's turning into a nice drawing, I think, and I think he has a certain character in the drawing now, and let's work at this a little bit more. Oftentimes when I want to finish a drawing, I see all kinds of things all of a sudden that needs to be worked on. So several times by making these videos I said, well, thank you for watching and so on, and then I noticed something that I wanted to work on. One would almost think, just say thank you for watching, and all of a sudden you see what's needed in a drawing. If it was so simple. His hair is very it's very typical. It's very important for the character that he has in this painting, and hopefully in this drawing too. But I feel that I should not do very much on this drawing, about this drawing, because it has a nice energetic feel. I feel a bit reluctant to put something in the background. Usually I would do something at the background a little bit. But I don't like it. I even tend to... I'm erasing this even. Well, these don't always work very well. I want to keep the background white. And now that I have this eraser pencil, it's not the best one I have. This one is better, I must say, I think. So you can try to keep things very pure and don't use any eraser pencil, but using an eraser pencil can make a drawing a bit more painterly, because on a darkened surface you can add white again by removing certain areas of graphite, or like brush strokes. I can work now a little bit. But it's not the kind of drawing actually for this, perhaps, but a little bit of experimentation. I really like it, by the way. Well, really, I find it interesting. But I think I leave it at this because it's a nice drawing. Yeah, I remove this. I think that a kneaded eraser even works better in this area. But I keep it at this. I think it's a nice sketch. A little bit at the nose. Well, thank you very much for watching. Bye.